This is a presentation of the report, Affordable Educator Housing in Marin, Data Suggesting Impact on Recruitment and Retention, produced by Marin Promise Partnership. My name is Robin Pendoli. I'm the Director of Countywide Collaborative Action at Marin Promise. This report was produced for the Marin Educators for Equity Initiative, or MEEI. It provides insight into how affordable educator housing might impact recruitment and retention of educators identifying as Black, Indigenous, and/or people of color, or BIPOC, in Marin County. MEEI's aim is to increase the number of BIPOC educators to more closely align with the student population. The partner institutions are College of Marin, Dominican University of California, Marin County Office of Education, Nevada Unified School District, Santa Fe City Schools, Sausalito Marin City School District, Shoreline Unified School District, Tamalpais Union High School District, and the Branson School. This report assumes the experiences of BIPOC educators are different from those of white educators. Young educators, 18 to 39-year-olds, are an essential focus group for recruitment and retention. Young educators and lower-income educators are more likely to rent housing. And there is high demand for both classified and certificated educators. Based on these assumptions, this report disaggregated data in comparative dyads of educators. BIPOC compared to white educators. 18 to 39 compared to 40 to 65-plus-year-old educators. And classified compared to certificated educators. These are the key findings of this report. Compared to other educators, BIPOC, younger, and classified educators are 1. Less likely to be able to afford housing in Marin. 2. More likely to have less favorable housing. 3. Highly interested in affordable housing. And 4. They're more likely to be retained when affordable housing is available. So who can't afford to live in Marin? Let's start by asking, what does rental housing cost in Marin? In FY21, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD, reported the fair market monthly rents as the following. An efficiency was roughly $2,350 per month. A one-bedroom was $2,923 per month. A two-bedroom was $3,553 per month. A three-bedroom was $4,567 per month. And a four-bedroom was $4,970 per month. So how do educator salaries compare to rent? To understand how salaries compare to housing costs, the analysis includes three archetypes of younger classified and certificated educators. For classified, there are three archetypes. One is a low classified employee, a first-year employee in a lower skilled position. The second is a mid, 5 years of tenure in a mid-level position. And the third is a high classified employee with 10 years of tenure in an advanced position, possibly requiring an advanced degree like a bachelor's degree or even a master's degree. For certificated archetypes, we started with a BA Step 1. This is directly from salary schedules for K-12 districts. A BA Step 1 is a first-year teacher in their early 20s. A BA plus 45 Step 5 is a teacher with 5 years of teaching experience who likely holds a master's degree and is probably in their late 20s. A BA plus 60 Step 10 is someone with 10 years of teaching, a master's degree and advanced training, and is likely in their mid-30s. The analysis identified pay ranges across the partners for each archetype. Affordability is based on a HUD's standard of 30% of household income being spent on housing. And the next two slides assume the educator is the sole earner in the household. What can classified educators afford in Marin? Each of the three orange boxes shows the pay ranges across the partner institutions for a low, mid, or high classified employee. 3 vertical lines show the amount that an employee would need to make as the sole earner in their household to be able to rent a studio apartment, a 1-bedroom, or a 2-bedroom in Marin County. What this analysis shows is that a low or mid-level classified employee could not even come close to affording a studio apartment because their annual income is well below $94,000. In fact, it's not until a classified employee reaches the high status of at least 10 years of experience in the district, plus a bachelor's and or master's degree, before their salary would make it possible for them to afford a studio apartment. Note that even at this level, a high classified employee making $113,900 a year is still unable to afford a 1-bedroom apartment in Marin County. What can certificated educators afford in Marin? Again, each of the 3 orange boxes shows the ranges of pay for each of the 3 archetypes across the partner institutions. And the 3 vertical lines show the affordability thresholds for what an earner would need to earn in a year to be able to afford a studio, a 1-bedroom, or a 2-bedroom apartment in Marin County. Again, what this shows is that not until a teacher is at the BA plus 60 step 10 level, usually someone in their mid-30s who has both a bachelor's, a master's degree, and also has advanced training, are they able to afford a studio apartment as a sole earner in their household. So what do educators say about their housing needs? In late 2021, the MEI partners contracted with Godby Research to conduct a survey to better understand the housing needs of Marin educators. The survey was distributed to roughly 4,000 educators, spanning early childhood through higher education. It was offered in English and Spanish. 722 educators responded. Below, you can see the breakdown by race, age, and employee type, and a list of the participating institutions. The following slides contain an analysis of that self-reported data from this survey. First, what percentage report household income below $100,000? Overall, 37.5% of respondents said that their household income was below $100,000. As we look at each of the dyads, BIPOC versus white employees, 18 to 39 versus 40 to 65 plus employees, and classified versus certificated employees, we see that there is a differential when we disaggregate that data. BIPOC, 18 to 39-year-old, and classified employees all show they have a significantly higher percentage of those employees earning below $100,000 for their total household income. How many people live in educators' households? On average, respondents said that there were 3 people living in their households. As we look at each of the comparative dyads, however, we see that there is a significant difference between the size of households for BIPOC employees as compared to white employees. In this graph, we see an analysis of data in response to the question of who cannot afford a studio apartment based on household income. Remember, in the analysis we saw previously in this report, we determined who could not afford a studio apartment based on the educator's salary as the sole earner in a household. This data is based on the total household income as reported by educators who responded to the survey. Overall, 42.8% of educators reported a household income that would suggest they could not afford a studio apartment. As we look at the comparative dyads, see that that percentage is significantly higher for BIPOC educators, for 18 to 39-year-olds, and for classified employees, each of them being over 55% reporting that they could not afford a studio apartment based on household income. So how does the lack of affordable housing show up in educators' lives? First, we asked how many educators commute 30 minutes or more. Overall, educators reported that 31.4% commute more than 30 minutes. As we see in the comparative dyads, that number is significantly higher for BIPOC and younger educators. We also asked how many educators rate the condition of their current housing as fair or poor, as compared to the other options of excellent or good. 36.6% of respondents rated their current housing as fair or poor. However, as we look at the comparative dyads, we see that that number is significantly higher for BIPOC educators and classified educators. So how does housing affordability impact recruitment and retention? As a reminder, this report was generated for the Marin Educators for Equity initiative, whose purpose is to increase the recruitment and retention of educators of color in Marin County schools. First, what percentage of respondents were interested in housing at 30% below market rate? We asked about 30% below market rate because this is often where affordable educator housing models land in terms of affordability. 57.5% of respondents said they probably or definitely were interested in housing at 30% below market rate. However, when we see the comparative dyads, we see that that number is significantly higher for BIPOC and younger 18 to 39-year-old educators. So why didn't respondents want housing at 30% below market rate? 40.9% of those who did not want the housing said that 30% below market rate is still too expensive. Of those folks, we see in the comparative dyads that was true for BIPOC, 18 to 39-year-old, and classified employees at a much higher rate. We also found that 31.7% of respondents who didn't want housing at 30% below market rate already own their housing. However, as we look at the comparative dyads, we see that that's true at dramatically higher rates for white employees, for 40 to 65 plus year old employees, and for certificated employees. And for those who didn't want housing at 30% below market rate, only 9.8% responded that they didn't want to live in employer housing. Again, as we look at the comparative dyads, however, those numbers were significantly lower for BIPOC, 18 to 39-year-old, and classified employees. How might affordable housing reduce attrition? We asked the educators to tell us, first, how likely they were to remain with their employers beyond 5 years, and then we asked how likely they would be to remain with their employer beyond 5 years if affordable educator housing was available. Overall, we found a drop in the 5-year attrition rate of 22.6% among respondents when affordable housing was offered. Again, as we look at the comparative dyads, however, we see that BIPOC employees, 18 to 39-year-olds, and classified employees would see a significantly reduced attrition rate if affordable housing were offered. At this stage, what questions does this raise for you? Please feel free to add any questions or observations in the comment section below this video. Thank you for your time and attention. We welcome feedback, questions, and requests for additional data and presentations. Please contact Robin Pendoli, Director of Countywide Collaborative Action, at robin@marinpromisepartnership.org.